Hi, my name is Robin Wong. I'm a photographer based in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. In this video, I want to talk about a few tips on how to speed up your photography workflow. Let's do this! Tip number 1, how to change lens quickly and effectively, especially in low light environment. A lot of people ask, hey Robin, you use a lot of prime lenses, so it means you have to change lens a lot. How do you do so quickly without affecting your shooting process? Especially in the dark, it's so hard to see, right? A lot of the lenses are black, especially the pro lenses, they're also black. It's so hard to see where that red dot is. Now here is the tip. Look at the back of the lens. Find where the electronic contacts are. It is easier to see the electronic contacts because they are metallic and they reflect light. Even if there's just a tiny bit of light present, you can see where the metallic contacts are. The contacts are at the bottom and the red dot is at the top, which is opposite of where the electronic contacts are. This is consistent with all Olympus and Panasonic Micro Four Thirds lenses. Now you know where the red dot is. Without even feeling around, just look at where the electronic contacts are. Having located the red dot, then it's very easy and very quick to mount the lens on the camera. I think this is a fail-proof method and it works to me all this time. I hope this is beneficial to you, especially if you do a lot of photography in low light and you have to change lens effectively. Tip number 2, leave the lens cap at home. I understand a lot of people will bring the lens cap and cover the lens front to protect the front element of the lens to prevent any scratches, especially if you carry your camera in your camera bag. And I understand that, but I've seen many times this actually happen. My peers and other professional photographers, they see a moment happening and as they take the camera and lens out of the camera bag, they turn it on, they want to take a photograph. Oops! The lens cap was still attached and they have to remove that lens cap, and after they've done that, they've missed the moment. Hey, it happened to me as well. I'm sure it has happened to you and it has happened a lot of times to a lot of people. Now, to prevent this from happening, the simplest solution is not to have the lens cap in front of the lens. Leave the lens cap at home. You'll gain 2 benefits. One, you will not miss moments again, especially the quick ones. You have to draw the camera out of the bag and quickly grab the shot. And secondly, you will not lose the lens cap because you safely tuck it away somewhere in your home. You'll not bring it out with you, and in a hurry, you remove the lens cap from your lens and you put it in your pocket, you put it in the 1,000 pockets in your camera bag, and you forgot where it is later. A lot of my friends, they spend a lot of time trying to look for the missing lens cap, right? So by not having the lens cap with you, you solve 2 problems at the same time. I understand you have to overcome the mental block of trying to baby the camera too much. A lot of people, they spend a lot of money on the camera. You know, they don't want any scratches or they don't want any dent. They don't want anything to happen to the lens or the camera. So they treat it like it's a very, very, very delicate and very fragile thing. But as a photographer, your camera is a tool. You should get past this mentality of trying to protect the camera so much. You have to be able to accept some bruises, some scratches. You have to accept some battle scars on your cameras and lenses. It's just a part of the process. Look at any National Geographic photographers. Look at any professional working photographers, look at their cameras. They are full of battle scars, they are bruised and battered. And that's the cost and the risk you have to take to get great photographs. You don't just spend all your energy and effort trying to protect your camera from all these scars and expect good photography to happen. It doesn't work that way. Some sacrifices we'll have to make, and I believe that leaving the lens cap at home is one of them. Tip number 3, simplify your shooting execution. I've seen a lot of people, they want to shoot in full manual mode. I'm not against shooting in full manual. In fact, there are times where I do shoot in full manual and I think it's necessary. But for a lot of situations, I can get away with, say, aperture priority, shutter priority, or even program auto. And these program modes, they actually help you to shoot more effectively and efficiently. They get you to simplify your process and speed up your overall photography workflow. You see, when you shoot in full manual, you have 3 variables to think about. 3 exposure settings, right? The shutter speed, aperture, and ISO. Now, when you have 3 variables, 3 unknown, you need 3 equations to solve this problem. Right? The more variables you have, the more equations you need to think, and it just complicates things. Sorry, I got carried away. I was talking about simultaneous equations there, a little bit of mathematics. But when you have less variables to deal with, it makes things so much easier. You can just focus on what's important. Figure out what's the most important thing in that particular scenario and just take care of that. For example, if I'm shooting stage in low light, I want the most light that comes into my lens. I'll just shoot with aperture priority and force it to the widest open aperture, say f1.8 or f1.2, and let the camera deal with the rest. Say that if I want to freeze motion, if I'm shooting sports, I need 1/500th of a shutter speed, I need 1/1000th of a second. I just use shutter priority, right? Fix the shutter speed to 1/1000 and let the camera worry about the rest. And don't be afraid to use auto ISO. The camera's auto ISO is smart enough to get the results for you. And as I've mentioned before in my very recent video, don't worry about noise. Grab that moment. Go high ISO if necessary, just grab the shot. I'll put the link to the video up here, please check it out. Simplify your workflow, don't be afraid to use aperture priority, shutter priority. Trust the camera. You've spent a lot of money for the camera for all these automated modes. Don't have to use all your brain power thinking about so many things at once. There's only so much you can think about in that particular moment. And why don't you focus your energy on composition, lighting, capturing the right moment, things that the camera cannot do, but it relies on the photographer's creativity. So let the camera do the hard work for you. This will definitely speed up your workflow. Tip number 4, use high-speed memory cards. I've seen so many of my friends, they use top-of-the-line camera, flagships from Olympus, Panasonic, Sony, and they use very slow memory cards. I don't understand why. You're paying for such high capability on the camera. The camera is capable to shoot at incredibly blazing fast speeds. Yet, that potential, that ability of the camera is stunted and limited by the choice of your memory cards. Now, Olympus cameras these days, most of the modern Olympus Micro Four Thirds cameras, they can use and they are compatible with UHS 2 or ultra high speed number 2 SD cards. And yet, most of my friends are still stuck with UHS 1 memory card. Well, it depends on what you do. If you're doing landscape, for example, okay, fine. You just take like 1 photograph in every 5 minutes or so doing long exposure. Or if you're doing like star, Milky Way, or astrophotography, speed is not important to you. Or you do still life, nothing moves, that's okay. But if you do street photography, if you do event photography, if you're doing weddings, if you're shooting things that move a lot, if you're doing sports photography, then I believe that speed is important, right? And you might want to maximize the potential of your camera. You want it to be performing at its best capability. So having a high-speed card does make a big difference. I have here a UHS 1 card from SanDisk. I'm inserting this into the EM1 Mark III. And we are testing at high-speed sequential burst. This is an electronic shutter at 60 frames per second, starting now. It's writing into the memory card now. Let's see how long it takes. This will actually slow you down if you need to be quick. You shoot a lot of bursts, depending on what kind of photography that you do. A UHS 2 card will definitely clear up a lot faster. See, it's still writing. Okay, we are done. Here is a UHS 2 card, also from SanDisk. Inserting this into the camera for the same test, using the same sequential high electronic shutter, 60 frames per second. Go! It's writing. I expect this to be a lot faster than previously, if not at least twice as fast. There, it is definitely at least twice as fast. Finally, tip number 5, use a fast card reader. Not only you need to use a fast memory card, which will definitely speed up your camera, gives us maximum potential while you are shooting, but when you are post-processing, you need to transfer the images from your camera to your computer. That process can be sped up. Your overall workflow will be a lot faster if you use a fast card reader. I'm currently using a Lexar card reader, which actually is a UHS 2 compatible. It will maximize the use of any UHS 2 cards. This will effectively double or triple the speed in comparison to a non-UHS 2 compatible card readers. To me, speed is important. Instead of waiting for, say, 15 minutes or 30 minutes to transfer my images from the SD card to my computer, if I can finish everything within 5 minutes or less, that's a lot of time saved, and I can use the time to do something else. Productivity to me is very important. I am a full-time photographer. I deal with a large bulk of images. The faster I transfer the images, the better. And I also do a lot of YouTube videos these days, and the YouTube files are huge. I'm shooting in 4K. So if I can cut down the time to, say, half or more, I can save a lot of time. So invest in a fast card reader. I think it will make a difference in your overall photography workflow. That's all I have to share on the 5 tips on how to speed up your photography workflow. I hope you found at least one or a few of the tips useful and beneficial to your own photography. If you do, please consider buying me a cup of coffee, or you can contribute directly to my PayPal. Links in the description below on how you can do that. Any small contribution goes a long way. It will definitely help me to continue making videos and publish them right here. Please remember to give me a thumbs up, comment, share, and subscribe. I'll definitely see you again in the next one. Until then, please go out and take more photographs. Bye-bye.